extremely recommend keeping an open mind when you're searching for schools, because there's a value in scarcity, right? So if your school, if you find a school that there's not a lot of people that look like you, you know, everybody wants to increase diversity. And every school, there's a lot of schools that have diversity outreach programs. So you have to look and do your research and make sure that if you have these goals of going for free, you know, everybody has their own individual goals, so going for free is one of them. You really, really have to dig down, do your research, and understand that maybe the schools, you know, that a school where, you know, you're going to be of value because there's not that many of you that really look out for you. So you just have to really do your research and understand what your goals are when you're doing that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm back. But my question is, like, for people, I know, like, the last session, we were talking about full-time jobs. Like, for students who are, like, undergrad, like me, at University of Florida, I work, like, 2 jobs and trying to pay for school and stuff like that. And I feel as though, like, that kind of doesn't leave room for a lot of, like, internships, opportunities, and stuff like that to really build my resume, especially during the summer. Like, the summertime is where I save up money to pay for school. So, like, how important, my question is kind of like, how important do you feel like the resume is in your, like, whole application process, and kind of like any tips to kind of help build that up, like make it stronger?
Somebody that hasn't answered.
All right, so I think the resume is pretty important. When I came out of not law school, undergrad, I had done a few things, like I had a few leadership roles, and I was pretty active in undergrad in different extracurricular activities. So the thing is, if you don't have a lot of job experience, find experience other areas. So like have leadership experience or volunteer opportunities, or just different things that you can show that you have, like different skills and abilities that may not be job experience. So that's what I did.
And just to say in 5 seconds, I actually review admissions applications in my school, and having work experience is very valuable.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have a simple question, but I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm an NYU Law graduate from the class of 1981. There were 26 of us in our class. To make the point really quickly, I'm looking at law from the standpoint of somebody who's practiced law as a litigator a long time, and I practiced also with people who just graduated from law school, in addition to seasoned people. One of the main issues is debt. I think, forget about the comfortability, all law schools are hard. I know people from schools across the whole country. Law school's hard. Some law schools, the environment is more conducive to learning than others, but from my vantage point, having practiced for a long time, you should go to law school where you get the most money, that you could deal with it. But I mean, money is the key, because if you graduate from law school with low debt, you're not going to be under the stress some other people are. And certain jobs, I mean, people are asking about the HBCU. Really, I mean, NYU, of course, I'm a proponent of NYU. Certain jobs, you don't even get a resume. Your resume isn't looked at as favorably, unfortunately, if you don't come from certain high-powered schools. It doesn't mean that you're not as capable, but the reality is, some places, because of competition, if you're not coming from the top 5 law school, you're in the second batch of people they look at. So that's something to consider. It's not dispositive of all the issues. But the other thing is, when I was going to law school, and I think people now also should look at the issue of bar passage rates. It's beautiful to get your JD, but come on, you got to become a lawyer. You got to get admitted to the bar. And a lot of us, that's where we have our problem. Some of us take a few tries before we pass the bar, and then if you also have high debt, you're getting bills, you don't have a job. I mean, look at your situation. So your main issue is look at schools that have high bar passage rates, because the faster you become an attorney, the faster you're going to be moving on with your law. So that's what I have.
Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left for the 3 questions, so really want to take 30 seconds. Okay, great.
All right, well, my name is Angelique Brown. I'm a sophomore at Hampton University, where I majored in political science on a free law track from Long Island, New York. My question is, With your majors, how did that assist you in law school? Because I'm taking political science and a pre-law track in the pre-law society.
I think that with your majors, it definitely plays a role in law school. Like I majored in sociology and Africana studies. And then going into the law school classroom, sometimes I am the only person of color in my class. And having to hear some of the comments that are made, it helps me to realize that people have these different views. It helps me to deal with them. Like for instance, I was in my criminal procedure workshop class the other night, and we had an oral argument with our professor, who's a judge. And going over the problem, one of my classmates who's inspired in ADA said that Rikers is a good place to detox, that we should just send people there. And I think after really dealing with that with her and speaking about her outside of the classroom, like learning about sociology and everything really helped me to deal with that situation.
Can I just add real quick? So obviously you can major in anything you want and go to law school, but what I usually tell students is no matter what you major in, at least take some reading and intensive reading and writing courses, because that's what you're going to be doing in law school. You're going to be reading a ton, you're going to be writing a lot. So even if you're a biology major, make sure that you're taking classes that will help you develop reading and writing skills that will make you successful.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Arthur, and I'm actually a non-traditional applicant, right? So I have about 10 years or decades worth of corporate work. And so to a point that you made earlier about stepping out of New York City to go to school, the challenge is if you go to the Midwest, those schools don't have the leverage to put you in a really good corporate or, you know, a really good job. Their market is really small in the Midwest, and that's not where you make the money. So what would you advise somebody who wants to stay at a certain salary level, but may need to go to a school outside of a major market in order to get into school?
So you can go to a New York City school and still not make it into the type of salary jobs that you want to make it into. That's the reality too. But it's all about what you do with that degree. It's true that if you go to a different part of the country, you're going to have to work really hard to come back here during the summers to network and find a job. But there are trade-offs, right? So you go to a school that's well-known here in New York. Maybe there's some different networks that you can join that will help you reach your goals. But you may have less debt if you go to a school that gives you more financial aid or scholarships. You can still network if you're very intentional about it. So making sure that you are joining alumni associations for whatever school you go to. I guarantee you they have alumni here in New York. Making sure that during the summers you go back to the area that you want to be in ultimately is really important too. So it's not impossible. You're really going to have to weigh the pros and cons, you know. New York's a very expensive city to live in. Other places are not as expensive. Your law school will probably cost less if you leave the East Coast. That's just the reality. But you're right, you're going to have to work a little harder just to make sure you achieve those goals.
And I will just add one thing. Even though you may be in the Midwest, stay in contact with all the bar associations in the state you want to practice in, because you can be added to their mailing list. If you want to fly back home for the networking holiday parties, just get involved that way too. So you can still have your hand in both pots if you want to play that way.
We want to talk to the people. Not you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Casey Stewart. I am so happy that all of you guys are here. I came here like a sponge, just willing to soak up as much information as I could. And while I am very excited, I think that we all have been presented with just the notion since the election that we're all Black, we all share many of the same experiences. And I don't know if a lot of you guys heard from the last panelists, but they just kind of discussed that after law school, doors were still shut in their face no matter how high they climbed in this corporate ladder or just in law school. So I just wanted to know if you guys could speak to that. As law students, you are definitely choosing your careers. I think you're doing a wonderful job if nobody has told you that. But just what are some of the things that keep you guys emotionally charged, knowing that a lot of these doors are still going to be shut in your face, even though you are putting in some very long, hard hours?
In 30 seconds. I give you 5 seconds. I created my own lane. I'm not depending on anyone's job application. I created my own business and my own own lane. And my business is going to be my firm. I plan on all the clients I have in my consulting firm, they will be my clients when I have a law degree and when I have my JD. So at the end of the day, you can create your own lane. You know, don't depend on every application at every corporate job. You can very well be very successful if you are creative in finding that solution that works for you.
Thank you guys for listening, and thank all the panelists for being part of it.
All right, we thank you for your attention. We're going to transition to the lawyers panel. So I think you've got a lot of really good information. I'm glad I stopped in for this session. And then we're going to keep it rolling. So please stay in your seats. We have lawyers and judges who are going to be speaking to you today, and we're ready to get started. So just hang tight. We're just walking to the stage right now. And for the lawyers and pre-law students, Monica Dula, who's going to be on this panel, she is the vice chair of the National Bar Association, which is the Black Bar. She has applications. It's free for pre-law students, law school students, and first-year students to become members of the National Bar Association. So please consider that and ask her for an application for the National Bar Association. Thank you.